Cass, it was a really intriguing battle, shall we say, at Wembley, where in the end it was Chelsea that, well, outclassed Manchester City in terms of the victory.
Well, it wasn't very intriguing for 45 minutes. It was quite dull. I mean, it was like one shot and not much happening. And I thought Tuchel had obviously set up his team, and I thought the addition to N'Golo Kante into the team told you what he wanted to do. He wanted to stop the centre of the park, stop De Bruyne, worked perfectly. N'Golo Kante was magnificent, as he can be. De Bruyne, unfortunately, comes off injured, but struggled, and I don't think I've ever remembered seeing a half hour with him making as little impact as he did De Bruyne in a game. He really had nothing to show, not any assist pass or, just creating things. Chelsea were amazingly well drilled in this game to stop. And it's always difficult to assess a game when there's been Champions League games for them in midweek as well, knowing there's going to be loads of changes.
There were a lot of changes for Manchester City, 8 in total. Is that why they lost?
No, I don't. I think it's lazy to go down the road, and I'm going against a lot of me pundit friends here, but I think if you're just going to go down the road of saying too many changes and that's why you lost, I mean, look at the quality of the players that are playing. I think you could argue differently and say, actually, a number of them players needed a game. Torres needed a game, was poor. Sterling needed a game. Rodri needed a game. Rodri was really poor for City yesterday, in the match. Needed football because you've got to think of the bigger picture. Pep didn't get it wrong by his team selection. They're all quality players. And they were second best, and Chelsea got an amazing squad, by the way, as well. Let's not forget, there's a fantastic array of talent there. And I just think that he has to have the thinking of the Champions League semi-final in his mind. Now, if he has injuries and someone has to be left out, it could even be, say, De Bruyne has announced injury for, he's out for a month. Well, one of them is going to have to come in who weren't going to be in the team. So it's important that he keeps everybody as close to peak fitness. And there was a number of them players yesterday who desperately needed the game because their forward line was really 3 forwards who probably wouldn't be playing normally. And they all lacked that sharpness of a game. So they would have benefited from that. And look, until obviously Foden came on, who changed the game in a moment, as soon as he came on, it looked like City were the City that we know and love.
Well, he certainly made it a more difficult second half for Chelsea, didn't he? And I think it's interesting that point you make about people saying, well, it's the 8 changes that cost Manchester City.
Think of it as a pundit, Nat. Right, you're never wrong, okay? Because City lose, shouldn't have made that amount of changes. So you're never wrong, okay? But you've got to consider why Pep's thinking the way he is. And obviously, I'm thinking, well, obviously the Premier League is going to get over the line. They've got a League Cup final, yes, and he thinks he's got enough and he has to play these players because he's got a massive semi-final of the Champions League coming up.
Absolutely.
So you're never wrong, are you? If you win a game, you can say, as a pundit, you're always right. If you lose a game...
That's the thing, isn't it? If they'd won that game yesterday, Pep Guardiola would be lauded for making those changes and bringing in that squad
sensible
depth
management, rotation, which he's done, by the way, all year.
Yeah. And as you say, really big, important month coming up, if you like, or this month, certainly, with the League Cup final still to come. That's next weekend, as well as the PSG Champions League semi-final. So there was always going to be squad rotation, and perhaps it was going to be this competition, perhaps rather than the League Cup final, whether in a final. And
what would you do, Nat? What would you do? Okay, well, you lose a couple of players in the League Cup final, and you lose a player or two in the semi-final yesterday. So you go into the Champions League semi-final, and you've got to select players that haven't played or hardly played more than half-hours football, and you've got to select them in your team. Right? What would you think that would have been a mistake? Because I would have said, well, you've got to sacrifice it. The quadruple was really hard to win for a reason. What the Man United did in '99, the treble, was extraordinary.